Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Killican Circumstances. I'm your host, Marian Angelis, and this is our show. Hello, 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 everybody. To be honest with you, it's been a while since I've filmed, but I was really looking forward to this episode because my lovely friend here, Ernesto, asked me to do this episode specifically.
We both wanted it,
Yeah,
actually. What are
we
you
do. We
talking
both did
about?
because if you guys have seen our episode about Brilliant Young Mind, please go watch it, by the way. Right after he and I were talking for like an hour and a half or so, and I asked him what was something you wanted to do next if we were going to do another episode together, and he's like, I want to do Miss Peregrine, home, Miss Peregrine's Home with Peculiar Children, and I was like, I love that movie. I love Tim Burton. He loves Tim Burton. I'm a big Tim Burton fan, so like he messages me on Tuesday, and he's like, guess what came out on Disney Plus? So like I watched it and here we are. How are you feeling today?
Honestly, kind of excited because I have a thing for Gothic fiction, period. I blame a series of unfortunate events for that, by the way.
You have the way to my heart. God, I love a series of unfortunate events. I watched the entire series several times over. So I love it so much. God, I don't know what's about it. It's just so good. But yeah, if you guys didn't hear what I said earlier, today we're talking about Miss Peregrine's Home of Peculiar Children. And if you guys have not heard of it, it actually is a 2012. Is it 2012 or 2015? I'm trying to remember.
It was a 2012 novel.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
you're
was like,
thinking
there's
11.
2011. I'm thinking, yeah, it's based, the movie is based off of a book that was released in 2011. But the film that is based off of the first book came out in 2016, which I thought it was older.
Yeah, I thought it was older, but man, I guess time flies and it kind of is, I don't know.
Maybe that just shows that we're a little bit old.
Yeah, I swear to God.
I feel old. I feel like I'm 18. I'm like in a 24-year-old body.
I'm an old man.
Yeah.
Get those kids off my lawn.
What are you doing here being a Boy Scout? And all if you guys don't know what I'm referencing up. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about Miss Peregrine's Home of Peculiar Children. And the story follows this young guy named one second, named damn it, I'm trying to remember named Jake. And he after his grandpa dies of like mysterious causes, he ends up going to an island in Wales with his dad that his grandpa always told him about. And all of a sudden they're transported to this world. Jake is brought into this world by other kids where his grandpa would tell him stories about these peculiar children, these children with different abilities. But in truth, Abe was the person who Abe was the person who actually got to live there for several months with the family and became a very close member. And within that, it's a very special and really sweet story. And I really enjoy it, but it also has like this twinge of like darkness. Even when there's so much brightness out, it's like everything feels super closed off and like mysterious in a way. And I don't know how they do it. Like even with the brightest colors, it makes it seem even more eerie. What do you think, Ernesto, about like the movie?
There is this certain mystique that I felt as I was watching the movie. I don't know if it's just the way Tim Burton directs his films, but it's just the way he's able to just, I don't know, present, whether it just be the lighting, the atmosphere of in each scene, in each different setting. It was really, how do I put this? Very mysterious. And I don't know, because I'm pretty sure you felt the same way when you seen some of the scenes, such as when Jake saw the mansion that was destroyed, stuff like that, or even Jake going into the woods.
Yeah, there is definitely that point. There's something that I do remember. It was it's like Tim Burton knows the perfect art of irony in a way. So here's an example. So in order for the peculiar children to actually stay like alive in and like not be like captured by these monsters that are in the movie that actually take the eyes of peculiar children and eat them, um, there's these peculiars called ymbrynes, where they have the ability to turn into a bird, but more importantly, they can create a time loop to preserve the last 24 hours, which creates a safe bubble for the ymbryne and all of the children that reside. So they never age. They never age, but they're always safe from the monsters. What are their monsters' names again?
Hollowgasts.
Oh, hollows. The hollows. Yeah, real creepy. If you guys like, they what Ernesto was talking about, they kind of look like Slender Man, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they have Slenderman's head.
Yeah. What I think about, there's this specific monster. I don't remember, but it has the exact same like the face looks very similar, and it's very scary. Like children weren't like doesn't. If I don't remember the name of the monster, so if you guys know it and you're on YouTube, please comment it down below because I can't remember. But it's like children would like go into forests and they were told that these monsters, these ones with like the white eyes, would come and eat their souls if they went out. Just it was mostly a folk tale to get children to stay inside the house and not play around it in the dark. But with that, the Embrynes, they created 24-hour time loop and everything. And then Abe kind of like steps in and he sees all of this. And in particular, when the time loop happens, there's this song that plays on the record player. And it's like, if I want to like sing a sample, it's like run rabbit, run rabbit, run. And you're laughing, but I got a point. So like the music plays and it's a very cheery song, right? As this bomb's about to drop on the house.
I love the brilliant irony in it.
It is the most ironic thing. I noticed it and I was laughing so
I
much.
have a dark sense of humor too, so that kind of adds to it.
And then also like the way they portray Miss Peregrine, and then like I think Victor, and then whoever the other guy is who was like with Jake. Do you remember his name? I don't remember his name. I don't remember people's names.
It's not Abe.
What is his
That's the
name? Hold on, we gotta figure this out. Sorry, everybody. We are on filming, but your girl don't remember how to do it. 1 minute. So it is Hugh. No, it's not Hugh. It's nope. It's not them either. Damn. No. Okay. Bronwyn.
Mm.
Sorry. He was his name's Bronwyn. Bronwyn. And with Rowan, it's his twin brother ended up getting killed by a hollow, but then they were able to preserve like his body in a way, but essentially use him as a puppet. Don't even get me started. Like if you guys watch the scene, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. Bronwyn brings Jake to Victor, and he puts the heart in his brother.
Oh, Enoch. Ugh, what is necromancy? Just
Nope.
the thought of it sends shivers down my spine.
It's legit the creepiest thing. I'm just glad they didn't make it more graphic.
Oh man.
This is why this is the difference between this is a PG-13 movie, and then if they made it rated R,
They would have had it an extended cut with Victor. and Enoch controlling him.
It's freaking creepy. God, I don't even know. I'm just saying that straight out that this movie is all kinds of weird. But that's in the style of Tim Burton. There's a lot of questions that you ask that almost never get answered. What did you think about, like, was there like a favorite piece of like irony you liked in the movie that you can think
Hmm.
of?
The fact that Mr. Burton tries to achieve true immortality is just sheer irony, because the purpose of time loops is to preserve immortality of the peculiars. And there's no reason for him to seek for true immortality when you are basically, you know, able to live forever with time loops.
Frick, you're right. I didn't even think about that one. That's so freaking smart. Or like the other piece of irony. Okay. We're like definitely going off and giving spoilers. But like, of course, you guys come to see this podcast, you know, we're all about spoilers. It helps us with talking about other things. But like, essentially there's like this showdown where there's like two Abes, and one of them is one of the hollows. So
Jake.
like they have to, yeah, with Jake, our lovely main character, aka Asa Butterfield, aka the same person we were talking about in A Brilliant Young Mind, who we bashed because of his romance. um we'll get to his romance later in this movie, about this movie. But essentially, like Abe, they're both like arguing. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm this. No, I'm no, I'm." They're like, "No, I'm Jake. No, I'm Jake." And then Jake's like, "Well, there's one thing that I can prove it. I'm not normal." And he's like, "Because I can see the monsters." And so essentially, another Hollow takes out Dr. Hallows's eyes, right? That's his
Aaron.
name. Oh, Baron, and takes out Baron's eyes, who was actually shapeshifting into why do I keep calling him Abe?
Jake.
Because Jake.
He was the grandfather.
Yeah, because the grandfather and Jake look very similar. That's why I'm getting them mixed up. I'm very sorry. And essentially, the Hollow takes out Baron's eyes out and kills him off. And I'm like, that's real. And then like Jake shoots the Hollow, and I'm
Mhm.
like, it's so funny how ironic it is. And he's like, he's trying to like, um, Baron was trying to be Jake to convince everyone to like not shoot him so that he could kill them. But then in the reality, one of his fellow brethren kill him instead. And then I'm like, it's not as great of an irony as yours is, but it is pretty ironic.
Funny thing about that scene, it made me realize one big plot hole is that earlier in the film, you saw Jake entering the woods and he sees his grandfather with his eyes out and he's still alive. But how can he still be alive with his eyes out when Baron died when his eyes were taken out by the hollows?
But technically, Victor is alive in a way.
Mm.
That's a good question. How did Jake's grandfather, Abe,
How
survive
is he
with his
still
eyes taken?
alive with the eyes out? Because everyone died when their eyes were eaten by the hollows.
Were his eyes eaten by the hollows then?
I mean, his eyes were out in that scene when he was talking to Jake as he was dying. It just doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I remember. So essentially, Miss Peregrine, she heard about like the grandpa dying, and Miss Peregrine told Jake that the Hollows didn't even need his eyes, but that they took him anyway as a way of revenge. So they weren't going to eat his eyes; they just wanted to take him. That makes so much more sense, actually, because technically you can live without eyes,
Yeah,
but
but
apparently the peculiars they can't live without their eyes.
Oh, okay,
If you
gotcha.
think about it like that, because that means like
Yeah.
if they like if your theory is right and they eat the eyes, once they eat the eyes, they die.
Wait a
Then there
no.
must have been.
Abe is a peculiar. He could see the hollows.
Yeah, but so is Jake's grandpa. He can, and also Jake can see the hollows.
Yeah, Baron died because he was peculiar. So Abe was still alive when the eyes were taken out.
Yeah, but okay, sorry, I know we're having this conversation right now, but like we're really good at theorizing and we did not do much research for this episode, so forgive us. Wait, but then that means with the peculiars, Abe, like the way that Abe and Jake they have their abilities to see the hollows, they have an exception to how they die. Is that what you're thinking? Like they live a little bit longer before they die?
No, but I was thinking this is a huge plot hole. What happened? I think they just did this for dramatic effect, and I understand that was the point. But like, that made absolutely no sense when you see Baron straight up die when his eyes were eaten by the hollows.
Because in a way it's like the peculiar's eyes when he eats them gives him his life force, but in his eyes.
Hmm.
That actually would make a lot more sense. Because to eat like is to be like. Like there's a saying with Filipinos, if you eat squash, you get like eyes like an owl. Unfortunately, I still don't have those glowing eyes. But I don't have those glow in the dark eyes yet, but like it's like to eat some like the what you eat is what you are. So like what Baron, like what the hollows do is that with when they eat things, when they eat the eyes, the life force that they have in their stronger abilities is through their eyes. That's why like the hollows they often get shot in the eye where their eyes would be,
Hmm.
right? See, okay, we figured it out. Like
Maybe the books have a different explanation.
we did not read the books, quote unquote. We did not read the books. We are busy college students. I don't have the time for it. I'm sorry. Maybe I will talk about this with the book. I'll talk about one of the other reviews of the book, promise. But I kind of want now that we're talking about a plot hole that we just discovered and like argued about. I kind of want to talk about the other plot hole you mentioned.
Hmm.
Why don't you talk about it? Like introduce it.
All right. So each of the peculiar children have their own peculiarities, the thing that makes them peculiar, per se, their own supernatural abilities. And they're two of the peculiar children are twins, and they're Gorgons. Initially, you see them as wearing cloaks, which, by the way, are kind of creepy in their own right, but that's
It
just
can I just be honest? I feel like those cloaks are something you'd put over an Annabelle doll.
yeah. But yeah, anyways, the two twins, because they're Gorgons, they have to wear their hoods or their cloaks so that they don't turn people to stone. And the thing is that you don't know what their peculiarities are until the very end of the film, where when they were going to kill one of the hollows, they lift up the cloaks and reveal that they're actually Gorgons, and then they turn one of the hollows to stones, and then she dies.
Oh.
Problem is that if they have the ability to do so, then why couldn't they have saved Jake from being taken by Mr. Barron?
Okay. I put a rebuttal to this already when we talked about it. But okay, so in if you guys have seen the Percy Jackson movies, in the first Percy Jackson movie, when they're trying to get like one of the pearls to go into the underworld, um, I think it's Athena's daughter, half human, half god daughter, actually encounters Medusa, and even though like, and Medusa has like her eyes fully open, her cloak's like her like hat's kind of off, and she's trying to turn everybody into stone, and with it Athena's daughter, she's like keeps her eyes closed, but with the snakes like open, she has the urge to just open her eyes more and more and more, even though she doesn't want to. So like my theory is that if they had their cloaks off, invite like it could like release like a hormone almost that like urges people to open their eyes no matter what. So like even if they saved Abe, there's a good chance Abe's eyes would have been open too. Because they can't control like how they are. Like that's my thing about it. Well, like of course it could be different. If it weren't
Hmm.
that way with like most people will want their eyes to be open, then it would have worked. You're right. Like, but it is a really big plot hole. They don't even get to talk.
Oh, absolutely not. And you don't even know why they are peculiars in the first place until they do the big reveal at the end.
But they do like but this movie really likes mystery.
Yes, I do. I gotta give him credit, but like, it just really bothers me. It's like some of the stuff would not have happened if they have just opened their stupid heads.
Yeah, it would have worked. It's like it just keeps on like occurring and occurring. And there's a lot of plot lines. A lot. There's now that I realize it, there's probably more plot holes than what we're talking about. But I don't think I want to keep thinking about it.
Yes.
Be honest, it will just
No.
make me more mad about this movie. But I like this movie. This movie's
Yeah,
good.
I still love it.
Please
I
watch it. Please go watch it. It's so much fun. Even though it's like a little bit old for sure. But if you have Disney
um
Plus or you
5 years old. 5 years is too old. Are you serious?
well, keep this in mind. Like I have like a 10-year-old sister. Between
Hmm.
6 and 10 for her is huge. Keep that in mind. Like that's the way I think of it is like anything more than 3 years is a lot. Is like a decent amount of time with a decent amount of change that has happened. So that's like my personal opinion on it. But there's another thing that me and Ernesto are gonna say again. And we want to say this first. We love you, Asa Butterfield, because you are such an amazing actor. But your romances suck.
What's really funny is that we bashed on a brilliant mind because that romance was should not have existed. Why is it so forced in Miss Peregrine's?
It was okay. There's nothing wrong with the romance. It's just the way that it's presented is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, because if you were to see that in a different time, a Tim Burton movie that was about love, like The Corpse Bride,
Oh
for
yeah,
example,
that
like that is really well done. The romance is right there because you're talking about marriage.
of course the chemistry.
Like I don't like mind. Like, would you have minded if they like hinted at their romance instead of like putting it front and center?
I would have much appreciated the hints because otherwise it feels kind of forced because Emma, I believe her name was it Emma?
Yeah, Emma.
Yeah,
She
Emma.
has the ability of air, by the way, that she can
Mm,
manipulate air. She floats like air. Yeah, go ahead.
but the thing is, Emma was still trying to get over Abe, and then when Jake comes along, because Jake is related to Abe,
And also looks like Abe.
uh-huh,
Yeah, yeah.
now, the hints, the romantic feelings start to come back, and she's very conflicted about it.
Definitely. Like, okay, so a lot of the pushing force for Jake to like stay with the peculiars, to stay with his peculiar family was because he wanted a sense of community, which is always great in any movie. Like that's usually a lot about what movies are. But in this case, the romance became the driving force for almost everything Jake did. And that's the issue. I feel like it should have been more about like having community and being with everybody else rather than just the romance. Like if they ended up like holding hands or like kissing at the end and it was just like this cute moment with after all the hints, I would have been okay with that too.
Hmm.
Cuz like, sometimes people who are hopeless romantics like myself, like you need like something cute's nice. But like having the driving force of that in a movie that is a lot about gothic fiction, it kind of sacrifices how well done the movie is. What do you want to add anything to that?
But I also feel like Emma takes away from the rest of the peculiar children as a whole, because now in the middle of the movie, a lot of the peculiars don't get as much screen time as Emma did.
That's that. Mm-hmm. That's very true. When you think
Although,
about
to
it.
be fair, like half of the peculiars, their peculiarities are just like, it's just there for the sake of being peculiar.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
But that one, that's fair. Because like with like with okay, so an example, a series of unfortunate events. They have their own abilities, but they're actually supposed to be useful. Since the whole concept of this book series that this movie is based off of, which is peculiar children, they're gonna be odd. There might be useless powers,
Mm-hmm.
but they have special abilities regardless. Like that's how I think of it. Is like, well, if they're peculiar and they don't have use, I think that's the point of the use of peculiar.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like because peculiar, if I remember correctly, if like the first time I heard it, it's like it was used as like an insult towards
Yeah, it
people.
kind of was at first, but it was explained that like not every children becomes peculiar. It's a generation type of thing where
Yeah.
their parents may not be peculiars, but their children might be.
Yeah, like that the gene might be extremely, extremely dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like I think that's like really important to highlight in the movie is that these children they may like have a child that finally is peculiar, but then has like nothing like then that has like a power that they may not even use at all. And with everything, like I like how everything is in the movie. It's actually super it's really cute, but also like the Victor thing, I still can't get over it. But
Yeah, that is straight up creepy.
I'm sorry, I have like this thing with like creepy things. For example, like we were talking about this earlier, Coraline. There's this scene
Mm-hmm.
when Coraline escapes from the thing and the hand tries to get up out of the portal and take her back in to take her eyes. I have a thing with eyes and them being taken out. So freaking creepy. But like there are some things in this movie that kind of like push it to the edge of why it's PG-13 and not
Mm-hmm.
R-rated, thank God. And that's I think that's what really makes this movie super cool. And the books, like when you read eerie books, you just want to keep going.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I just realized that one of the peculiar children resembles Carmelita Spatz.
Who's that? Sorry, you're gonna have to remind me. I don't know a lot. I'm sorry, guys.
The peculiar girl who has the mouth behind her head. She kind of looks like Carmelita Spatz.
No, who's Carmelita Spatz is what I'm asking.
A series of unfortunate events. Cake sniffers.
Oh, sorry. I remember watching the movie a couple times, but I don't remember everybody who's in it.
Oh, the series. The I'm talking about the Netflix series and the in the books.
Mm-hmm. Because like I'm trying to with okay, a series of unfortunate events. Please go watch the series. Is based off of another set of gothic fiction children's books. Wow, they're really there's like a target demo. There's a really good target demographic for these books. If they got
It's
like a
called Young
series
Adults.
young. I don't know if they're for young adults. Like I think I've seen people as young, like at 6 years old, reading these books.
That's really morbid.
Slightly morbid for sure, but I don't know if you could call them young adults. They're still in like the children's section.
Like if a 6-year-old is watching a series of unfortunate events and some of the crap that happens in
They're
the
not like
just
they're not
kind of
like
would.
they like watch they like read the books a little bit or like because like I don't know, a series of unfortunate events and Miss Peregrine's Home of Peculiar Children, they both fall in children's books technically.
Mm,
Because if you go to like a Barnes and Nobles or something, like if you're here in the US or something, or to your local bookstore, you'll actually see these two book series with kids, like with kids
That's
that are like less than 13. They're not even considered a young adult, which is like 14 to 17.
that's really interesting because I've also read that Miss Peregrine's novel falls under young adults as well. That's really
That's
strange.
that is extremely strange. Why do they give it to children? Like the
Exactly.
child, it's like put in the Barnes and Noble section for like kids who are in like 9 to 13.
Hmm.
That's who they recommend it for, and I'm like, are you sure this kind of stuff should be read by these kids? I feel like this should be like for a little bit of a higher age demographic. But
Especially like
oh,
if you
sorry.
remember, the Vile Hospital from a series of unfortunate events.
Oh,
The hostile hospital, I believe it was
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Um, trying to operate on Violet. No. Why are children reading this? No, 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 no.
yeah. That's like there's a stuff. Okay, this gothic fiction's awesome, but if you grow up on gothic fiction, I don't know what else to say. I'm more like, how weren't you scared of that? Is my question, rather than like, why did you read it? I guess like
Mm,
that's just me because I'm like I get creeped out by things very easily.
yeah, and here's the thing though. I read the series of unfortunate events books, and I would totally read Miss Peregrine if I was still that age. I'll still read it, by the way, but it's just like I don't really take into account what I'm actually reading when I was that young because I remember, looking back at the hostile hospital and rereading the parts where Violet is going to be operated on and they're going to straight up murder her. It's like, what the hell was I reading when I was that young?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I
True.
guess it's just that I was still young. I didn't really take it, understand what was exactly happening.
Oh, that's why it's considered a young adult book because technically could then in that case kids can read it but not understand everything and it still be okay. And then when you're older, you can look back on it and be like, oh God, that's why I lands right in the middle. Because I'm like YA books or better known as young adult books. I've read like
Mm,
tons. I feel like they don't lie in that category of Miss Peregrine or Unfortunate. Like they don't lie in either. They lie straight for young adults, which are kids who are like anywhere from like 16 to like 22.
mm-hmm.
Like that's their demographic. And I read that stuff and I'm like, wait, I don't know. There's just like so many questions. And with Miss Peregrine, Peregrine's Home of Peculiar Children, there are so many questions that almost never get answered.
What's really funny is that after the first novel, it spawned a series. So I feel like that's the same sort of feeling I got with the movie. It's like it's leading up to a sequel. And I definitely got that feeling at the end.
Unfortunately, they didn't get a sequel.
I am so disappointed.
Let me see how much of the box office they got. They actually ended up getting
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's successful.
right around 300 million. Oh, that's not high enough of a profit margin for them. That's why. Because if they made the movie for 110 million, which is like right around the budget that you would do for like superhero movies. Like that's right around there. It's like Ant-Man comparable, kind of like that. And the fact that they only got like 300 million, it's a very small profit margin. That's why they didn't end up getting a sequel. If they got at least like 500,000 in sales, they probably we would have gotten a sequel. We got gotten at least one, but you know, things happen, and this movie will still be loved forever in our hearts, except for that Victor scene.
But yeah, what about the peculiar children, actually? We never really
You're
got on
right.
with
You're
that.
right. You're right. You're right. I was actually thinking about ending this episode, but then I was like, you're right. We never talked about them. Do you have a favorite peculiar?
Hmm.
Like based on their ability, not their personality.
You know, That's actually kind of a tricky question for me,
How
actually.
about this? I'm gonna read them off to you guys, and I'm gonna tell you guys about who they are. Okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm also talking to Ernesto, mostly Ernesto, but you guys are here and you're listening to our conversation and debates. So, the peculiar children, Jake, who has the ability to see the invisible hollows. And then there is Emma, who has the ability to manipulate air and breathe underwater. And then there is Enoch, who can
Is
reanimate the dead and use.
yeah,
And
necromancy.
yeah, that's what we were talking about, Victor, because he can actually reanimate his brother who is dead. So freaking creepy. And essentially, sorry, give me a second.
Hmm.
He can reanimate the dead and use inanimate objects as his living puppets for by placing a heart inside. Oh, that's why he put the heart inside. And then
Yeah,
there's Olive, who is a pyrotechnic. So essentially, what she touches turns into fire, and she has to wear special black gloves in order to prevent burning everything she touches. And then there's Millard Nullings, who is
oh,
invisible,
I
but he's
feel like
forever
there's
invisible. Keep that in mind.
yeah. I feel like half the time he is comic relief because he's naked half the time.
I think that's really funny. I love it. It's so cute. Cause like with like he's naked, it's not weird. But like for the peculiar children, he's naked. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then there's Bronwyn, who has superhero strength. And then there's Fiona, who can control and manipulate plants. So she can make plants grow or shrink. She can do that kind of stuff. Hugh, who has bees living in his stomach. Claire, who has an additional mouth at the back of her head. Horace, who can project his dreams, which are sometimes prophetic. And then there are the twins, who Joseph and Thomas Odell. They're also known as the Odell twins. They are Gorgon twin boys who turn anyone who sees them into stone. And then of course Victor, who had the same ability,
As Brown.
as Brownwyn, and he was able to, and he has the ability to reanimate the dead as well.
Actually,
Who'd you pick?
I don't know because all of them, to me, I like the powers that they have, at least their peculiarities. But now that I'm thinking back at it, I don't think there was really any use for Hugh until near the end where he has to fight the Hollows. That was his only use of using the bees.
Yeah, well, except that other scene when he cheated into winning a soccer game.
Yeah, that too.
But who would you pick?
I don't know. It's just I'm still angry about the twins and them not using their Gorgon powers. That made me mad.
Is it bad that I want Emma's still?
Yeah.
It's the most realistic. I love being in the water. So that's just me.
Mm.
I love the water so much that I want to be able to breathe underwater.
You know
I
what's
want to be able to put a bubble over my head and be able to go like swim in and go swim through a coral reef. Well, not through.
Mm.
Make sure you protect the environment, guys.
Yes.
Around
Absolutely.
a coral reef within a safe
Really?
being a safe 10 feet away from the coral reef. You guys should not be touching that stuff. But like I want that. But like, do you have an idea of like what you would do? Like who you would pick? Or like if you can't, what do you think your peculiarity would be?
You know what's really funny is that I'm kind of like Horace, who can, see his dreams because half the time I have lucid dreams and I have very sharp memory otherwise.
Oh God. I mm,
I mean,
I'm really impressed. That's really cool.
yeah, you know how right before we were gonna do this episode, and I remembered that we wanted to do an episode on Miss Peregrine. I remember that.
See, here's the thing. We filmed months ago. If you guys watch the episode, we filmed that episode 2 weeks before it came out. So if that tells you how long he remembered that thing, I'm more surprised than you are, because I would never remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I'm able to remember stuff that happened to me years ago in crystal clear detail.
Oh, that's really cool. I guess then you are in a way like Horace.
Yeah, because I even still remember some of the dreams that I had from even years ago.
Hmm. That's fair. That's fair. And I think like all of them are very unique. And that's like the point. Like the peculiar children is like to show uniqueness and that no one is considered weird, because all of us are considered weird. And like I think that's the really important part about this movie is that we say screw you to romances that do not help progress the timeline properly. And we also say that community and family are everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really like what this movie's about. And why we love Tim Burton. That's why this movie is
Mm-hmm.
really great, and that you guys should go watch it for sure. If you guys have some time. Okay, that has been another episode of Colleague Circumstances. Ernesto, thank you so much for joining me again. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a huge honor talking with you and just rambling about stuff that we love. Maybe we should do an episode on a series of unfortunate events one day.
That'd be really long. I'll be honest with you. I'd have to think about that one.
Yeah, maybe the Netflix series, but we'd have to condense everything.
We'd have to do one season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. You guys may or may not be able to see us do a series of unfortunate events in June. We'll see about how that works out, though. So, okay. This has been another episode of Killigan Circumstances. Thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you again to Ernesto. I'm so grateful that you joined me. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.